Oh hey, look, it's a little fun boxing crab Pokemon. Yeah, I really dig this. You know what? I'm gonna put you on the team. And seeing as I'm getting you really early on in the game, I really wonder what you'll evolve into. What's crack-a-lack and Toxicrew? My name is Toxiquid, and I might have mentioned my disdain for the 7th generation of Pokemon here or there, but I must admit, out of the 85 new Pokemon introduced in these games, I really don't have a problem with most of them, surprisingly. Sure, some are forgettable, with Pokemon like Passimian, Bruxish, Comfey, and Oricorio ironically springing to mind first, but overall, this generation was really good with their designs. The Komao line, Silvally, Araquanid, Mimikyu, Nihilego, Stakataka, Poipole, Shiinotic, Toxapex, Toucannon, Vikavolt line, the Rowlet line, and even more mark, in my opinion, some of the best Pokemon the Game Freak has come up with in recent memory. But as you might have guessed by the title of this video, there's always that one Pokemon that just irks me. In Gen 4, it was Combee. In Gen 8, it was Colossal. And in Gen 7, that Pokemon is Crabrawler. See, the issue isn't that much with Crabrawler itself, but more so what they became. Also, I will be referring to Crabrawler as a he for the duration of this video because when I caught my Crabrawler, which became the catalyst of this video, it was a guy, meaning that it was ingrained in my brain that Crabrawler is a dude. I understand that it can be any gender and that I should technically call Crabrawler they, but I really just think old habits die hard, so I wanted to put that disclaimer here now. So now, let's really delve into my issues. Okay, before getting into my big issue, we really need to define what is fundamentally wrong with Crabrawler and subsequently Crabominable. Crabrawler is pretty obviously a species of Polynesian crab called the coconut crab, exemplified by the very large rounded pincers, the 4 very prominent legs, as well as the generally upright egg shape of its body. These crabs, in real life, are one of the only species of crab that really don't dwell in water or are even semi-aquatic. No, these guys are all terrestrial, meaning that they stick to land and don't really go anywhere else. This is a pretty solid basis for a Pokemon, allowing to give a fresh twist on a usually aquatic species and have it actually make sense. This is one of the only times where this stunt actually works, unlike giving an octopus found swimming in water the fighting type Graplocked. What the hell are you doing? A fighting type crab. That's not bad at all, actually. And giving those giant claws on the coconut crab more context as boxing gloves and Crabrawler as a whole a boxer motif, both in personality and design, with stuff like the half-closed eye simulating a black eye, a general pompadour hairstyle, and overall looking like Street Fighter's Birdie just in crab form, as well as a name, Crabrawler, Brawl, Smash Bros. Brawl, Crabrawler confirmed for Smash. Jokes aside, it's really evident that they wanted more fighting types in a grass-type dominated region, so having this concept was a really nice addition. But here is where we start really running into some of the issues. First off, the placement of where you can find Crabrawler is kinda weird. Judging from the name and design alone, you'd expect to probably find it in or around cities or in the slums, and honestly Po Town and Ula Ula Island is a perfect place to spot a few thematically, or even in areas like the 10 Carat Hill or the vast Pony Canyon, with the context of Crabrawler punching rocks in each other to strengthen themselves up. But by looking at both the games are in, as well as generally the intro to this video as well, it's pretty clear that they can actually be found in berry piles. What? Yeah, Crabrawler can be found in routes 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 10, 16, 17, the Pony Wilds, and the Pony Plains across all 4 Gen 7 games, being Sun and Moon as well as Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And across all of these routes, there's only one thing that they all share, and you've probably already guessed it already, but it's berry piles. This is the only way you can get a Crabrawler, and that's by rummaging around through piles and piles of tropical fruit just to find a boxing crab pop out of it when you touch the wrong thing. And it's not like it's a rare find or anything. No. Crabrawler is the only Pokemon found via this method. Okay, Pokemon, I got a question for you. I get you wanted to find Pokemon through the berry piles, but riddle me this. Why didn't you put more Pokemon in there? What about Munchlax, the literal big eater Pokemon? Or Cutiefly, the fly Pokemon? Why have this very specific crab be only found this way? Why? Well, that could be for one of two reasons. The first reason is that it could be a reference to the coconut crab's real-life diet being fleshy fruits, as well as stuff like coconuts, hence the name the coconut crab. And the other reason being that they just kind of wanted to be quirky and make it more noticeable. But now, here is where I bring in the probably objectively least liked Pokemon in Alola, Crabominable. Crabominable has a lot of problems, some of which wouldn't be too bad if it were its own standalone Pokemon, rather than an evolution to Junior Rocky Balboa. Firstly, this fucker is based off of the horsehair crab, which is commonly found not just in Hawaii, or even anywhere in Polynesia, Micronesia, or even Melanesia, but is actually found off the coast of Hokkaido, the tippy-top part of Japan. And for people who don't know what the hell that is, that's Sinnoh, the snow region. It could also be based on the more apt Yeti crab, but that's even worse as that's found near Antarctica. And even then, these crabs don't even dwell on land. The Yeti crab in particular dwells in hot water vents in the depths of the ocean. Second, the overall design is cluttered, uninspired, and in my opinion ruins the design that Crabrawler cultivated with his design. We legit went from a feisty, hot-headed, purple, yellow, and blue fighting type boxer crab to a dopey, gangly, furry, white egg-shaped freaky deek. And we literally went from Birdie to Dan Hibiki. No one likes Dan Hibiki. Third, the way you get Crabominable is honestly doo-doo horse poo. Remember back to when I detailed when you can get Crabrawler? Well, if you remember, you can get a Crabrawler as early as Route 2, the second route in the game. In the games, you couldn't get a Crabominable until the very end of the game at Mount Lanakila. And sure, you could use a rare candy at the base of the mountain, and that technically counts, but I can count everybody, that I know at least, who did this strategy on one hand, as they opted into stumbling upon it when they went through Victory Road, having their Little Max evolve into King Hippos. God! It also doesn't really help that this is the only new ice type in the Alola region. That doesn't really include regional variants. So in addition to being such a drastic change, it doesn't really help that the only way to get the new Alolan ice type is to evolve it from the funny bastard crab. It also doesn't help that the ice crab is paired with the fighting type for an admittedly interesting type combination of ice fighting, but that also comes with its fair share of caveats. Ice types in Pokemon are typically weak defense-wise and really specialized in attack, but overall is pretty balanced as types go in all honesty, which really surprised me. This complements the fighting type who also specializes in attack but has notoriously bad defenses. Unfortunately, you take the good with the bad, and so the Crabman has really good physical attack, but abysmal speed and not so great defense stats, and that's no good at all. It also doesn't help that it has 6 weaknesses, being to fire, fairy, psychic, flying, steel, and ironically, the fighting type. Before we think of solutions to this, I really want to circle back to the design, because saying that it looks like a rabbit's tail doesn't really do the design the injustice that it deserves. Crabominable really takes after the Yeti crab in terms of design. This is evident through the white coloration as well as the enormous claws. But looking at the Yeti crab itself, those claws are really slim and long, which is in contrast to those bulky weights attached to the end of Crabominable's noodle limbs. It also doesn't help that the general expression portrayed on Crabominable's face is one that looks like he just got knocked in the head too many times with probably a coconut, which is evident by the open mouth with all 2, count them, 1, 2, teeth in the small and blank eyes. There's also the hair on the head that's splitting apart down the middle, which all conveys that this Pokemon not being too smart. It also doesn't help that there's this random design that reminds me of a gorilla's stomach, with the pectorals and abdominals somewhat showing themselves, despite the fact that this is a crab, and crabs don't have conventional skin like mammals do. I'm not really going to comment on the arms because they look somewhat similar to the Yeti crab itself as I stated before, but I will say that the knuckle looking nubs at the end of the claws are unnecessary, as with the giant cut in the middle, probably representing thumbs, really make the whole hand look like you're just showing them your balled up hand front on, which really isn't that intimidating. So with all that being said, let's stop talking about the wasted potential and see if we can come up with a more fitting evolutionary design. Right off the bat, we're going to be making one huge change that people may not like. We're actually going to make this a split evolution. I quite like the idea of Crabominable, but it just doesn't make sense as the only evolution. So instead, we're going to make a regular evolution that can be accessed everywhere except for Mount Lanakila, which makes Crabominable a little bit more special. This design I want to continue being an island style crab, and in fact, we're just going to switch crabs again, from a coconut crab to a robber crab. Surprised they are the same thing. No, actually, robber crab is just a nickname for the coconut crab. Gotcha, didn't I? We're going to keep the boxer motif, but we are going to change it from a somewhat clumsy rookie design of Crabrawler to a more composed showboat type. I also want to fashion the shell to somewhat resemble a sleeveless sweatshirt so there can be a much more prominent collar, which will be made out of a big plate in the shell. I also want to give it a much more gruff and rough look, like a bruiser, like a crab bruiser. This evolution of Crabrawler has stood up more, has tougher padded looking boxing glove style claws, a tougher shell, and a sharper hairdo. Crabruiser will still be a pure fighting type, but this time around it's faster, snappier, and much rougher with their fighting style. Expect this guy to outspeed a lowland Pokemon and deliver close combats, hammer arms, crab hammers, etc, etc. Some sailors like to keep them aboard their ships as they like the seas and can help fend off pirates. I really like this concept for a Crabrawler evolution. I really tried my best to make a much more natural evolution of Crabrawler without falling into the trap of it just gets bigger. You might also be wondering about why Crabominable is here as well, and that's because I actually love the themes of Alola's Pokemon, with a lot of its evolutionary lines having a common motif of adaptation. Obviously, there's Crabrawler evolving into Crabominable because of living on an ice-cold mountain, but there's also Oricorio adapting to new dance styles on each island, Lycanroc's form is an adaptation of what time they evolved into, Golisopod exists because Wimpod is a scary little shit, and Palossand legit came into existence because a dumb kid's getting possessed by sandy gas and adding more sand onto its body. There's a bit of adaptation in Alola, and granted, you could say that for a lot of reasons, but I think it still rings true here, especially with the advent of Alolan forms, literal Darwinian evolution of older species adapting to a new tropical climate. So that's the line. Crabrawler can either evolve into Crabruiser at level 30, or it can evolve into Crabominable when leveled up in a snowy area. What did you guys think? If this were an actual thing, would you actually use it in your playthrough? What would you change? Let me know in the comments down below, and with that, I will see y'all next time. Keep on crack-a-lackin'.